minutes to...
Frank Ranger here for Coil Fencing. Since 1927, Jacksonville has trusted Coil Fencing to protect what matters. And I trust them too. From tough chain link to your commercial project to sleek aluminum fencing your HOA will love, Coil does it all. Did you know that Coil can also install, service, and maintain those automatic gates that help protect your neighborhood or business? To schedule a complimentary consultation, visit CoilJacks.com. That's C-O-Y-L-E, Jacks.com. Coil Fencing, A-plus rated with the Better Business Bureau, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I'm Scarlett Johansson. My family relied on public assistance to help provide meals for us. These meals help fuel my love for acting. When people are fed, futures are nourished. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach. 1010XL. Presented by Farah and Farah. Exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. There are 4 seasons. Old school.
It's going to be stolen, I think, by the doctor. Yes, he's got it. Ray knocked the baby to sleep and slam dunk.
Stolen by Bird and the cut to DJ. Yeah! Buckle up for Kobe Bryant.
New era.
Oh! A jawbreaker! Curry way downtown. Bang!
It's all basketball.
A spectacular move by Michael Jordan.
Lace them up. It's time for 1010XL's Open Gym. Leading the break, here's RJ Saunders.
And they have unlocked the gym for us once again, and we are absolutely honored to be able to talk round ball once again as we inch closer to the NBA playoffs. And man, what a year it has been around the association. RJ Saunders here with you alongside producing GOAT, Emmanuel Thalorand. Thank you guys for being here with us. ET, also thank you, man, for the time. How are you, bro?
Man, I'm good, man. It's always an honor and a pleasure when I get to introduce or I get to produce for the one and only R Got No J.
Hey, man, I absolutely love it. Both of us here on a Sunday talking a little hoops action for you guys. And we are on all streaming platforms, X, Facebook, and YouTube. On this show, we are open to your questions, your comments, and your concerns. You can also hit us on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosure, 641-1010. And our question of the day, I want to take you guys back 1 week to the All-Star game and just want to ask you guys, do you have a favorite All-Star game? Some would probably say the 2001 All-Star game was great. Iverson, Marbury leading the comeback for the East. 1998 at Madison Square Garden, Kobe Bryant's first All-Star game. The East would get the win there. How about Magic Johnson's return to NBA All-Star action in Orlando? That was one memorable one in NBA All-Star game history. We'd love to know yours. Let us know, 641-1010. All right, so we'll start like this. For years, and most recently, probably from one Matt Hayes, we hear all the time from him that hope is not a plan. You can't necessarily hope your way into a better situation. And much of that is true for many of you and many of us here in Jacksonville and across the country, whether you are single, married, in a relationship, have children. You create short and long-term goals. But in said plan, however, you are hoping for a result, certain action, and creating a reaction, whether that be work, school, finances, what have you, in your personal life. To start this off, I do want to talk about probably one of the most controversial strategies we've seen in sports throughout its history, but now most recently in the NBA, because it's being talked about as quite the epidemic, and it's the tanking issue. Is it a smart rebuilding tool, or is this just overall bad for the league, bad for also the players, and bad for the fans? If you've followed the NBA over the last decade, you're always seeing this play out when it comes to tanking. Whether that come from the higher-ups, the coaches, teams themselves, you have these developmental lineups. If you're an Orlando Magic fan, you saw that most recently against the Utah Jazz, suspicious late game and late season rotations. And, of course, you have the draft lottery, which, again, You're doing that for the hope that you can get a franchise guy that can turn your entire organization around. And that NBA draft is rewarding teams with bad records, giving them higher lottery projections, landing those elite prospects. We've seen this probably most notably in Philadelphia with the process. They told their fan base, give us some time. Ended up getting Joel Embiid, Markelle Fultz, and Ben Simmons. Now, it didn't work out in the way in which you wanted to with 2 out of the 3, but you got an MVP in Joel Embiid. Cleveland getting a guy like LeBron James. Dallas, at the time, getting one Luka Doncic. Tanking isn't usually announced as publicly as it's possibly been now. Of course, no team is going to say, yeah, we're trying to lose. But it does show up in subtle ways. So I do want to break down kind of the pros and cons of this all. But before we do, this was Steph Curry during the All-Star game. And he had quite a strong opinion on the tanking virus that's damaging, and I put that in quotes, the integrity of the association. Here was Steph Curry.
How many teams are tanking right now? Is it you really? Even the teams that are in the play-in chase?
The ones out.
Which that's what, how many is the third of the league, so 10 teams? Is it really that big of a problem? I'm asking. We feel like there's obviously a lot of competition. It's something I'm sure every year the NBA wants to address why the play-in tournament exists. Things evolve, problems arise, and everybody wants to shine a spotlight on all the negatives of the league, but let's focus on the positives of how great the competition is at the top. There still is relevancy regular season-wise of the seeding and playoff chase. I know there's a conversation around how many games we're playing. That's probably where I would focus more the attention.
I think everything in which he's saying, it all kind of ties in to this tanking. Now, he also wants to, speak about the fact that there are a lot of positives going on in the NBA. We don't always need to talk about the negatives that are going on in the NBA, but this is the issue in which now they want to speak about in a grand manner. The NBA does, Adam Silver does. They want to figure out a plan in terms of how to potentially stop this. So when he talks about load management and also just the allotment of games and should the season be shorter, this is all going to come back now, in my opinion, or have something to do with tanking. So let's kind of look at the pros of what tanking is. Number one, the NBA is a superstar-driven league. Simply put, one elite player can possibly change everything for a franchise. We noted it at the top. Joel Embiid changed everything for Philly. LeBron James, when he gets to Cleveland in 2003, 2004, changes everything for that franchise. We've seen it other places. You're even looking at it now. San Antonio, Victor Wembanyama at 22. Paolo Banchero, potentially. In Orlando, 23 years old. Anthony Edwards, Cade Cunningham, both 24, doing great things in, respectively, Detroit and Minnesota. If you are a small market team, which those guys in which I've named, that with the exception of Joel Embiid, all of these guys are in small markets. Small markets that many superstar type players would not go unless you are drafted or traded there. So what's normally a lot of teams' path to contention? You have to do it through the draft. And for many franchises, the tanking epidemic, it's less about, in my opinion, losing, but trying to maximize your long-term value. If you have the franchise guy, maybe there'll be other players around the league, quality players around the league, who will want to play with that guy, even if it's somewhere in Sacramento or Orlando or Minnesota. If you ask executives around the league, The NBA season becomes a treadmill for them if you are a team that's always in the middle of the pack. Think Atlanta, think Charlotte, the Portland Trail Blazers. Teams who we may see in the playoff picture through the play-in, but then when it gets to the NBA draft and the NBA draft lottery, you're picking somewhere in the teens if you do have your pick. The only team, and maybe you can say now with Detroit, but Oklahoma City got this right. They were able to stash picks. Now they're able to use those picks and get quality players. It's also the argument that they're trying to have now with the Utah Jazz, wanting them to be more competitive because they own their pick. But I think the thing in which a lot of people forget is that this tanking thing isn't foolproof. It's not a guarantee that those who have the worst record in the NBA necessarily then get the number one overall pick and the best player in the NBA draft. The NBA has flattened lottery odds in 2019 to really stop all of this. But I can also understand the case in which a lot of people have against tanking. It kind of undermines the whole competitive integrity from the viewing prospect and also from the fans' prospect, because this has a lot to do with us as fans when we watch our favorite teams. It kind of chips away at the foundation of what the NBA is supposed to be. And you're still asking for us to pay a lot of money to go to a game, overpriced food, and watch a horrible product. We don't go to the game to watch experimental lineups. And here's the thing, however, in my opinion, the players aren't going out there to tank. I think we saw this also in the NFL. I'll speak for me, the last time in which we saw this was probably with the Houston Texans, where if they would have lost their final game, I believe that was against Indy, they would have gotten the number one overall pick, but they end up getting the number two pick. We also saw it here in Jacksonville. You need the Jets to win the game, but there's fans in New York who want the Jets to lose the game. Jacksonville needed them to win the game to get the first overall pick. You think players are coming out there saying that they care about whether or not the draft selection is going to help them for that particular season? Don't just take my word for it. Ask NBA champion Danny Green and his opinion when he spoke about this particular issue.
This comes from the top, not the players. The players don't go out there wanting to play poorly. We're going out there to try to earn a contract, to show what we can do, what we got, play in front of our families, make them proud, and get buckets, right? So anytime they're on the floor, we want to play well and compete and win. The tanking or throwing games, wherever you want to say it, that comes from ownership or the coaching staff, right? So that's what they're trying to monitor. Either way, we got to find a way to stop rewarding losing. Yep. You know, we got to find a system. I don't know if we freeze frame records or have a lottery tournament or whatever it is to give higher statistics or higher percentages of getting a better pick in the lottery. But we got to find a way to try to limit this and stop it. But it sounds like, you know, Commissioner is trying to do all he can to have the discussions. We have all hands on deck and figure out. I hope they come with a better solution, because right now, I mean, everything that he's done so far, he's cooked up pretty well.
Now, the crazy thing about this is Mark Cuban, and a lot of people have had their opinions on it, especially in the NBA. Mark Cuban, former owner of the Dallas Mavericks, may be the owner once again, trying to create an ownership group to try to buy back the Dallas Mavericks. He says the NBA should worry more about the fan experience than tanking. It should worry more about pricing fans out of games than taking. You know who cares least about taking? A parent who can't afford to bring their kids to a game and buy their kids a jersey of their favorite player. Tanking isn't the issue. Affordability and quality of game presentation are. Charles Barkley also spoke about this during their broadcast on ESPN Inside the NBA, talking about that they can't raise ticket prices. NBA teams should not be allowed to raise ticket prices if your team is below 500 and if you are tanking openly, trying to get a better guy that can ultimately help your future. This is the process debate. Once again, that's where we're going to come back to. Every team, I think, is going to try to follow what Philadelphia did, where essentially you're telling your fan base, this is going to take us some time. Even when you have teams that have gotten it right and they've hit on their number one draft pick, their first round draft pick, it still takes time for now you even to place better players around your said franchise guy. So there's going to be years and years and years, and hopefully not long, where you're going to have to deal with the losing. Because the NBA has turned the NBA draft into this incentive-based thing. And that's probably where the impetus and the substratum, the foundation of all of this, possibly has to change. If you want to eliminate the tanking, you have to change the draft system. And I don't know necessarily if they would do this. We heard this from Danny Green, but this was Gilbert Arenas, who says that he came up with this idea about 3 years ago of how he would change the whole NBA draft lottery and NBA draft system.
If you come in last place, you get the worst possible lottery pick you can get. So if 14 is worse, you automatically get 14. Then everybody else, you play a tournament, which means before playoffs start, no play-in game. You have this. This is the draft game where the worst teams after last fight for who gets first, second, third, fourth, and so on. Because then what ends up happening is they can only try to tank for so much to then not get last place. To then, because when everybody checks out at the end of the game, at the end of the year, when they're sitting people, they can't do that anymore. And now those guys who checked out now got to try to win to then get the first, second, third, fourth pick.
Would the NBA or the NBA Players Association then say that those are too many games for the NBA players playing an extra, let's just say, 10 games, and we didn't make the playoffs, and our season ends in April? But I do believe that it's an idea if you are trying to change the incentive. Many others have said, and one proposal has been that maybe you say after the All-Star break, losing doesn't matter. The wins will be more important. But do NBA teams and NBA front offices then try to negate that, saying, then we'll just lose in early November and late December, and then once we get to the All-Star break, then we'll worry about the winning because it means so much. These teams, these organizations, they're going to find a loophole to everything. I'm not the one really saying that I have an overall problem with the tanking. I do believe that there are far worse issues in which the NBA has to deal with. But I do believe that the tanking now, because it hasn't been the best situation for a lot of these NBA teams, you may need to look at doing something different. But as where it stands right now, let's use the example of the Utah Jazz. They were here in Orlando not too long ago, right? They're up 17. Jaren Jackson Jr. hits the three. Timeout Orlando. They go into the fourth quarter up 10. They don't play Yusuf Nurkic. They don't play Jaren Jackson Jr. They don't play Lauri Markkanen. Openly now sitting here tanking. People are now in a brouhaha over the fact that Jaren Jackson Jr. goes back to Memphis, which would have been a great homecoming game, maybe would have been on somewhere NBA TV. Instead, Utah has decided to shut him down for the entire year. Here's the thing with Utah, and a lot of people would probably think about it this way. I have to finish as a Utah Jazz to potentially get a top 8 pick. I have to finish with one of the 4 worst records in the NBA in a draft that is very top heavy, Wouldn't it be great, a full circle moment, if you're able to get Cameron Boozer there? The son of former NBA All-Star, Utah Jazz, don't necessarily want to say legend, but was very strong there in Utah, Carlos Boozer. AJ DeBansa, maybe Peterson from Kansas, maybe those are one of the three guys, and you say this changes everything for us. Maybe it does the same thing for the Atlanta Hawks that now have the New Orleans Pelicans pick. We need for them to lose more games. Maybe we can get a top pick and add to the young core in which we already have. We're always going to criticize tanking until it comes to the idea that we need a franchise player. We did it here in Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence, and NBA teams have done it across many years. Isaiah Thomas talks about how they sat him down because they wanted to get Grant Hill. You also hear about the Celtics trying to tank. I believe that was 1999 to get Tim Duncan. Ultimately doesn't work. But every NBA team, such as life, their plan is to tank because the hope is that our small market team can now have our version of Wemby, Ant Edwards, KD, LeBron James, Luka Doncic, and we can build from there. But I would just love to know your opinion. Those are just my thoughts. 641-1010 is how you can reach us. Now, I do also want to get into who potentially is going to be the next face of the NBA. And is it something that we decide, or is it something that the NBA has to decide? We'll talk about that with Sean Powell right here on Open Gym on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Hey, gang, Prosser here for my friends Chad and Sandy. What are your concerns? What struggles do you anticipate when it comes time to sell your home? What is it that bothers you? What's keeping you from getting max money as quickly as possible? Well, I don't know what those reasons are because I know they're all silly. Because Chad and Sandy have one down-to-the-line guarantee. Your home sold guaranteed, or they will buy it. It'll be at a price and a rate that you agree upon beforehand. So if you need to sell now, fast, easy, stress-free, and you need max price, then you need Chad and Sandy. The government's making moves intended to push mortgage rates lower. The last time rates dropped, we saw a selling and buying frenzy. Now's the time to prepare. It's time to call Chad and Sandy. Darcy in San Jose did. I wanted to move to a more walkable, vibrant area. Within 3 days of working with Chad and Sandy's team, I found the perfect home. They do it stress-free with a guarantee. Go to chadandsandy.com or call 414-6200. That's chadandsandy.com.
Hey folks, Rick Ballou here from the Blue Crab Crab House. February means the Mardi Gras menu returns to the Blue Crab Crab House. Gumbo, shrimp Orleans, blackened redfish, appetizers, dessert, and more. This includes, of course, their regular menu where you get crabs from the Alaskan waters, the Canadian waters, the Southern Georgia waters. It's only at the Blue Crab Crab House. Doors open at 4:30, San Jose, and of course, Jewington Creek Road.
Nate Bargatze. It's a lot to have two dogs, because you gotta open the back door and let two dogs out. Big Dumb Eyes World Tour. 5-star Veterans Memorial Arena, February 26th. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com.
Go where the air is fresh and nature is your landscape.
Amazing, isn't it?
We go to the great outdoors with Jeff Lageman, Captain Kevin Favor, and Captain Kirk Walls on the Nimnit Outdoors Show every Saturday morning from 7 to 10 on 1010XL.
Hey, Jacksonville, David Garrard here. If you want a street-legal golf cart that's built with quality and style, check out Dynamic Drives and Designs in Jacks Beach. They have new, used, and fully customized carts from the top brands like Atlas, Dodge, and Pilot Car. Every cart gets a complete expert inspection, so you know it's ready to hit the road. Their team can help you design the perfect custom cart that fits your style and needs. For your custom golf cart, visit dynamicdrivesdesign.com today and see your perfect ride.
Greenlaw Group is for the insured. If you think you have roof damage, call 904-302-7055 today, and they will schedule you a free roof inspection. Trust their law firm to help you fight your insurance when you need it. These storms can cause damage you may not even see yet. Call Greenlaw Group 302-7055. There's no cost to retain their law firm and no cost to have your roof inspected. They only get paid if you win. Greenlaw Group, for the insured.
Help your loved one fall back in love with his or her home with a home improvement from the professionals at the Lifetime family.
That's right, Nick. Happy Valentine's Day to all the lovebirds out there. What says I love you more than adding additional space with a glass or screen enclosure that will enhance your home's livability, or brand new floors that dramatically improve the look and feel of your home?
That's right. New outdoor living space from Lifetime Enclosures and beautiful floors from Lifetime Flooring.
Come experience the Lifetime difference. Call or visit one of our showrooms today for our Valentine's Day specials throughout February.
Lifetime Enclosures.
Spring is almost here. Is your yard ready? Lucas Tree Service, a family-owned business with over 45 years of experience, is your local certified arborist for tree removal, trimming, and stump grinding for residential or commercial properties. Protect your home, boost your curb appeal, and get top-notch service from a Jacksonville company. Make sure your trees are healthy and safe before summer hits. Schedule your tree inspection today at lucastreeservice.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch.
I'm James Richardson of the Orlando Magic. You're listening to Open Gym on 1010XL.
Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline, driven by Key Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
It's Open Gym here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. RJ Saunders here with you, talking hoops in the 904 on a Sunday with our next guest, who is my mentor in this business, also one of the GOATs as a scribe for all things round ball. He is Sean Powell of NBA.com, joining us to talk the latest inside the association. Mr. Powell, thank you so much again for a few moments, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, RJ. What's going on?
Nothing much. Just absolutely glad that we are out of the All-Star break. Basketball is back, and we have a couple of great storylines that we need to get into. But before we get into any of these major storylines, just wanted to get your feelings on the first half of the season. What stood out to you there in that first half of the year, whether it was a team surprising you or a player really making their presence felt this season and taking that next step in their development? Just what were your takeaways, if you could break that down for us?
Well, I was pretty surprised on how quickly the league reset after Oklahoma City went 24-1.
Right.
It looked like they were going to pretty much run away from things. Then, lo and behold, they're pretty much right with the Detroit Pistons and the San Antonio Spurs in terms of the pecking order in the NBA. So it's gotten a lot of close. The league has been very competitive over the last couple weeks. You've even had some teams that really started, pretty poorly, such as the Los Angeles Clippers. All of a sudden, they're one of the hottest teams in the league. It's just been really strange how it has always. Look, the NBA always has a way of finishing the way you kind of expected it would finish.
Right.
Super teams are going by the wayside. You have competitive balance. And I think that's what we're seeing in the NBA, and especially in the last couple months.
There's been a lot of hullabaloo when it comes to the NBA All-Star Weekend, the All-Star Game. I just wanted your opinion when it came to the All-Star Game on Sunday. Did the NBA, in your opinion, kind of crack the code as to how they can make that game more fun and competitive with having it be USA versus the world? For me, I like the first three games. The championship game, in my opinion, a bit spotty. As much as I do miss the East versus West format, also have to understand that things change as in life and we have to adjust. But has the NBA, in your opinion, found something there with the US versus world format?
I think so, at least for the short term. With the new format where you had every game was really 12 minutes long, and you had two teams of U.S. players versus a team of international players, and it was very competitive. And I like the way that Victor Wembanyama, who is going to be one of the superstars over the next 10, 15 years,
right,
kind of set the tone by playing very aggressively, and everyone else fell in line. The reason why I say it's the short term is because, how many times are you going to be able to put a team of world players together?
Right.
The representation is very strong now, but will be strong in 3 years and 5 years. And the other thing is, I think a fair amount of players were hoping for a return to East versus West. So I think it comes down to, what Commissioner Adam Silver and the people who work on the All-Star game felt about this, and also felt about the long-term hopes for this format.
Sean Powell of NBA.com joining us here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. You spoke on Victor Wembanyama and his competitiveness that he showed in that All-Star game, and because of that, many players followed suit. You had written a great article last year about LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry, that entire era, and how we're in the twilight of it, and enjoy it while we can as NBA fans, because these guys are no longer enough talent-wise individually to carry a team to a championship any longer. And it made me think, and now we're having many national shows speak about it and ask the question themselves, who's going to be the next face of the NBA? I think we thought for quite some time that it was going to be Zion Williamson. I think we were handing him that title since we saw him on social media dunking on eighth graders. I feel that the NBA was going to have to make a decision on Ja Morant, much in part as to what they had to do with Allen Iverson, because although they may have not fit the aesthetic of what the league may have wanted a face of their association to look like, fans were speaking loudly. The NBA couldn't ignore it, and ultimately they had to look at Allen Iverson as one of the faces in the game. Unfortunately, Ja Morant has gotten in trouble off of the court, and I think that now we can kind of say that that potential title has passed him by. In my opinion, the NBA would love for Anthony Edwards to be the face of their league, but I think in the All-Star game last year, he says that that's what you guys have Victor Wembanyama for. He's going to be the face of the league, but then that leads me to a question as to whether or not the league is ready for an international guy to be the face of your league. So when it comes to ending one era, and you had three faces in that era, that's coming to an end. You're now ushering in this new group, and you have to find a face for them. Who do you feel is best suited to carry that mantle?
I don't think we really know yet. It could be that player's currently in the 10th grade.
Wow.
To be in that sort of position, you have to be all encompassing. Number one, obviously, you have to be a generational talent.
Right.
Number two, you just can't be just a great player. You have to have a player with flair and high entertainment value. I know a lot of great players didn't have high entertainment value. Their game was more suited to the floor. They weren't up in the air. Right. The other thing is that you have to have the temperament. Take a guy like Steph Curry. He doesn't tire from the demands. Right. Maybe he does, but you don't see it. So he's very willing to be a public face, to cooperate with the league, be an ambassador of the league. And not a lot of players are built that way. A lot of players don't want to sign autographs, make appearances. They just want to play ball and go home. Right. And the other thing is that sometimes, a player just can't appoint himself. He has to be selected. Right. So a lot of it is really up to the general public. Who are they going to gravitate to? They gravitated to Allen Iverson. They gravitated to, LeBron James. Obviously, LeBron James, one of the greatest players ever. Right. But what does the public want going forward? What does the demographic want going forward? So I don't think we know that player right now. Obviously, Victor Wembanyama is a fantastic example, and he embraces that idea as well. So that's a big help. But I think it's really up to the general public. They will make that decision, and that player is going to have to step forward.
NBA.com's Sean Powell joining us here on Open Gym on 1010XL. Let's talk about the tanking epidemic. It's spreading across the NBA landscape. Now, we've had teams tank before for better picks and a chance at a high-value player. For example, Isaiah Thomas had talked about how the Pistons were putting him on ice because they wanted a chance at the Grant Hill sweepstakes. We have a host here in Jacksonville by the name of Rick Ballou who talked about the Boston Celtics tanking one year because they wanted a chance at the number one pick to draft Tim Duncan. Adam Silver is wanting to put an end to all this. Some are even exploring an idea of probably doing away with the NBA draft altogether. In your opinion, just how bad has tanking gotten in the association?
Well, first of all, the NBA is not going to abolish the draft. That's not going to happen. So let's put a period on that conversation and just push it to the wayside. That's not going to happen. I mean, put yourself in a position as for a team that's Washington Wizards, for example. Right. They're out of it. They're not going to make the playoffs. Right. So I think it's fair for that team to say, you know what? I know what my starters can do now. I need to devote the rest of my season to the guys on the bench because I have to start evaluating them now rather than waiting for Summer League. I have to see how they do against NBA competition now because I'm going to have to make some key personnel decisions this summer and early fall. So I think for some of these teams at the bottom, the Utah Jazzes of the world, the Sacramento Kings, all those teams, Sacramento doesn't need to have DeMar DeRozan playing 30 minutes.
Right.
They know what he can do.
Yeah.
Now is the time to give it to some of the young players and see what they can do. And I see no problem with that. And people will say, well, that's tanking. Well, maybe it is. Maybe it is. But I just don't see the gain. If you're a team that's certainly headed to the lottery, I don't see the gain in playing your regular players 30, 33, 35 minutes. For what? Right. You need to give your young players, these guys on two-way contracts, these guys at the end of the bench, you need to see what they can do. Right. And the bottom line is you can go ahead and tank anyway. It doesn't guarantee you the first pick. We've seen that time and time again.
Final couple of moments with Sean Powell here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM NBA.com analyst. Are there any teams in which you are putting under the microscope here as we get to the last third of the season that you feel could make a legitimate push here and possibly make themselves contenders, whether in the East or the West?
The Boston Celtics. I mean, look, there's number 2 in the East right now. It's not like they're a team coming from nowhere, but we mentioned what they can do once they get Jason Tatum. Right. But I'd also look at Philadelphia 76ers. Okay. Paul George is going to come back from his suspension, and Joel Embiid, you would think, is going to get healthy. They can cause some problems. That's probably a team, if you're in the East, that's probably a team you don't want to see in the playoffs. Charlotte Hornets, also another hot team, although I think they kind of buried themselves a little bit. They have a big hill to climb, and they're going to have to get through the play-in tournament. And then, I think the Warriors are done. Stephen Curry, I think, he won his championship. It's not going to happen again. That team is too old. The Lakers, I don't see it either. Denver Nuggets, if they get Aaron Gordon back, I think they're going to be a challenger, but I thought they were going to be a challenger anyway. Right. So I think, other than, say, Boston and maybe Philadelphia, I don't think there's going to be a team that's going to come from nowhere and make a lot of noise, either in the play-in tournament or the playoffs, only because even if that team does come from nowhere, they're going to get the 7th seed or the 8th seed, and in that first round, they're going to have a very, very difficult opponent.
All right, Sean, before we get you out of here, and thank you again for a couple of moments of your time, your family here, you understand that, you know how I feel about you. Just how can individuals get a hold of you and your great work?
Well, you can always follow me on NBA.com, the NBA's website. Every week we do the MVP ladder. Right now I have that as a close race between Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Nikola Jokic. You might want to throw Cade Cunningham and Luka Doncic in there, but, we'll see how the last month shapes up. Right. And you can also find me on X, as they say, used to be formerly Twitter, at Powell to the People. On X.
Basketball is back following the All-Star break, and some would say this is the most exciting half of the NBA season, the push towards the NBA playoffs. And we are so honored to have been given the gems around the association from one of the GOATs of NBA.com, Mr. Sean Powell. Thank you so much again, Sean, and hopefully we can do this again sometime down the road.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
If you think it's great to be you can get more Gators anytime on the Gator Podcast channel.
Go Gators!
Set up by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists on the video and social channels of 1010XL.
The
Players Championship returns to TPC Sawgrass March 10th through 15th. Experience golf's most iconic stage with enhanced food and beverage offerings, interactive fan attractions, and an atmosphere built for every type of fan. See the best players in the world, including world #1 Scotty Scheffler, 2025 champion Rory McIlroy, and fan favorite Brooks Koepka take on the legendary Stadium Course and the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Roses are red, Florida gets hotter, and your AC is about to ruin the mood. If your system barely survived last summer, now's the time to replace it before the real heat comes back swinging. Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning makes it easy. No surprises, no runaround. And with our Sweetheart AC deals, get $750 off a new AC system when you install by March 15th. Fall in love with an AC that keeps it cool without the stress and call now for a free estimate. 904-862-6769, duckduckrooter.com.
Golf for a great cause. It's the UNF 4 Scholarship Golf Classic, Friday, March 27th at Queens Harbor. Support the Swoop Impact Fund with a sponsorship or foursome. Contact jc.wegner@unf.edu.
Duval all day. Search 1010XL Jaguars on YouTube.
Get a healthy start in 2026. The Florida Department of Health in Duval County is here to help you get healthy and stay healthy all year long. Our dedicated team is committed to providing high-quality care and trusted public health services for our community. Our mission is simple: to protect, promote, and improve the health of you and your family. Learn more about our programs and services by visiting duval.floridahealth.gov.
Instant Keys is turning 25. A quarter century of saving the day when your keys mysteriously vanish.
Seriously, it was just in my pocket.
Or when that remote fob decides to quit working.
The dealership is such a hassle.
For 25 years, Instant Keys has been the go-to locksmith service for car keys, house keys, transponders, re-keys, and even high-tech smart locks. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you for honest, professional locksmith service. Use Instant Keys.
Welcome to Key Buick GMC, proudly family-owned and operated since 1943. Come see why they're North Florida's new and pre-owned truck center, conveniently located on Southside and JTB, just minutes from the St. John's Town Center. At Key Buick GMC, every new vehicle comes with our lifetime powertrain warranty. Key Buick GMC, we are professional grade. Online at keybuickgmc.com. Lifetime powertrain warranty covers engine, transmission, drivetrain only. Exclusions apply. See dealer for details.
Make Capital Glass and Shower Doors your premier choice for top quality glass solutions. With over 40 years of expertise, their team specializes in commercial and residential projects. From elegant shower doors to modern frameless enclosures, they've got you covered. But that's not all. They also offer glass railing systems, glass wine cabinets, and much more. For unmatched quality and service, choose Capital Glass and Shower Doors. Your vision, their expertise. Visit online at capcoglass.com.
The Purple Heart isn't just a name. It represents service, discipline, and earning trust. At Purple Heart Pools, that standard shows up most in pool renovations. If your pool is outdated or worn down, now's the time to upgrade. So when summer arrives, your pool is ready. From new finishes and tile to decking, lighting, and full transformations, every upgrade is handled with precision and attention to detail. Purple Heart Pools. Pool renovations done right.
I used to dread going to the dentist. Every visit felt like a sales pitch with constant upselling, surprise fees on my bill, and I could never get in when I needed to. But Harbor Dental Care? Totally different. They saw me the next day, gave me honest pricing up front, and even set me up with a payment plan I could actually afford. No pressure, no surprise charges, just kind people who get it. If you want to experience dentistry the way it should be, book your appointment today at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
Hey, it's Brent with Arcosa Crushed Concrete. If you've got concrete or asphalt rubble on your site, let me buy it from you.
and I will recycle it into construction material for your future projects. Arcosa Crushed Concrete. Get paid for what you don't need.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah.
I'm Desmond Bain, passing it back to RJ Saunders. It's Open Gym on 1010XL.
Desmond Bain had himself quite the performance yesterday. A 5 p.m. tip-off against the Phoenix Suns ultimately would come in a loss to Phoenix. 34 points for Desmond. Don't want to reopen an old wound because the Orlando Magic get back to it tonight as they're in Los Angeles playing against the LA Clippers before closing out the West Coast road trip on Tuesday against the LA Lakers. But this was the final call from Dante Marchitelli and Jeff Turner at FanDuel Sports Network. Jalen Green breaking the hearts of the Orlando Magic faithful.
We'll see what they have here. Royce O'Neal looking for an inbounder. Finds Green. Three is up at the buzzer and down. Unbelievable. Jalen Green, an absolutely dreadful shooting night, hits the game winner at the buzzer for the Phoenix Suns.
Double overtime performance, 113-110 would be your final score. It has just been a wild year for your Orlando Magic. This was a season where you had a lot of expectations. I believe that the Philly Godfather, who normally comes on with Rick Ballou here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM, took the Orlando Magic to win this year's NBA championship. Now, in the words of Kevin Garnett, anything is possible, but my goodness, the Orlando Magic really do have a lot of ground to make up as they now find themselves in the number 8 position in the Eastern Conference, right behind the Miami Heat, the team they would play if the season ended today for the right to go to the NBA playoffs. I'm sorry, they wouldn't play. They would play the 9th seed. Let's check who that is. It would be the Atlanta Hawks, in which they would play. I'm sorry. No, they would play the Miami Heat. 7 plays, 8, 9 plays, 10. RJ, first show back. Sometimes thinking about this NBA stuff is hard. But you didn't think that the Orlando Magic would be in this position to begin the year. Something that was being preyed upon by head coach Jamal Mosley, GM Jeff Weltman, and the Orlando Magic fan base was that you wouldn't be dealing with these injuries in which you did just a year ago, where Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, and Paolo Banchero had only played 6 games together last season. Now you have Franz Wagner, who is now sidelined once again, dealing with the same ankle injury that he suffered at the hands of the New York Knicks in early December. So he'll be reevaluated in 3 weeks. And he's going to probably miss now a third of those games. And then you also have to think about he'll probably need an extra week to ramp everything up. I think him coming back or not this season is going to depend on where Orlando is by the time they reevaluate him. And the hope is, from individuals in which I'm talking to, is that you get the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. So that means you're overtaking Philadelphia, potentially overtaking Toronto if you want the 5th spot, and being in the playoffs outright. For this to happen, you're going to need one Paolo Banchero to be absolutely sensational. And in the last 2 games since returning from the All-Star break, Paolo Banchero has done a great job. Now, there were spots for him where he probably could have done better. He had 14 rebounds. Heck, there's probably people that are asking for 17. There were probably some offensive rebounds in which he could have gotten. He probably could have done a better job as well taking care of the basketball. There were 16 turnovers for the Orlando Magic against Phoenix. He accounted for 6. But I'm a guy here that doesn't believe that Paolo Banchero is the source of your problems. I don't believe that the discourse in which a lot of Orlando Magic fans have had, even NBA media has had when it comes to that of Paolo Banchero, and I'm not excusing him from this year. But I would like to say in your last two games in which you've had since coming back from All-Star, if you're saying that Paolo Banchero is the problem, you may want to reevaluate what you're looking at when it comes to Paolo. Iman Shumpert also believes the same thing that, being asked about whether or not Paolo Banchero is being utilized correctly in this offense or up to his potential for that matter. And here's what the NBA champion had to say.
They don't have a roster that's set up for him. But this is what I was saying when I first seen them. I'm like, are we impressed with this? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, it's not like he's paired with just somebody that could just deliver him the ball. Like, they don't have Chris Paul over there. You know what I mean? Like, there's nobody that's really setting him up for his gifts. They're just playing within actions. Don't get me wrong, they play some cool basketball, but their mission is not to get him going until he gets with somebody that they have a mission to get him going. It's just not going to happen. He's not one of those players that has a natural knack for, he's not Cade Cunningham. We're not going to see that type of style development. He's not going to hunt the ball and do something outside of things. He actually plays with some integrity about him that he's not going to force it and look crazy out there to get numbers or to blossom more than he would on any normal game. He plays the right way. And I think that he's low-key catching the slack for a lot of this because he's not the problem over there. They just don't have a roster that's cohesive enough.
I agree with Iman in some ways. I also disagree with him in some ways. If he's stating that, Orlando doesn't have the right guys around Paolo Banchero, and I'm going to assume he's going to talk about outside of the core. Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, Desmond Bane. Then that is something that the Orlando Magic are probably going to evaluate over this last half of the season and going into the playoffs. Do you go out and do you spend money to get a point guard? Is Wendell Carter Jr. your answer long-term at the center position, or do you get a guy who simply does what God blessed him to do on the basketball court? Rebound, block shots, rim run, catch lobs. I love Jamal Mosley. Is coaching changes on the horizon? That's something that everything has to be on the table. There has to be a complete evaluation process if you are the Orlando Magic. That has to be something you look in the mirror and ask yourself. But when it comes to Paolo Banchero and you're saying that he's not Cade, you're probably also going to say he's not LeBron James. He's not Kevin Durant. Well, of course he's not. But this is a guy at, 6'9", 6'10", 250, who Jamal Mosley said last season or 2 seasons ago, this is a guy that can shoot like Melo and a guy who can pass like LeBron James. I'm not saying that he necessarily needs to force the issue. If that's not him, I'm not requiring that to be him. But if he's your franchise guy, you have to be able to put your fingerprints in every aspect of the game. And not necessarily all the time does that mean scoring. We've seen that with guys like Nikola Jokic. His fingerprints are all over the game. Doesn't necessarily mean he has to score all of the points. But he is going to have to find his spots. He is going to have to be able to find, I'll use the term that Jay Law used with him when he was training with him over the summer. What are your kill spots? I think he's also going to have to try to figure out those kill spots for himself. I don't necessarily believe that Paolo Banchero, he should be a point forward, a Lamar Odom type, but that doesn't need to be his calling card every time. Maybe try to get a point guard there where you can put Paolo Banchero in different spots on the floor. Maybe try to figure out a post game with him being 6'10", 250. Why all the time are you needing to be out on the perimeter? See if guys can move and shake off him. But this is also where you miss a guy such as Franz Wagner on the floor with him because they counteract each other so well. And now it's a pick your poison if you're an opposing team facing the Orlando Magic. He has to now learn how to become a playmaker for himself and for others. But for those who have been Orlando Magic fans that have said that potentially this isn't the guy, they need to move off of him. Let's build around Franz Wagner. Here's the crazy thing for me. Paolo Banchero is 23 years old. All right. Here's a 23-year-old guy figuring it out. Myself, individuals like E.T., when we were 23 years old, we didn't have everything figured out. This is a guy in the NBA who's trying to figure this out himself. Orlando as a team still hasn't figured out their shooting woes, and this team has also been injured. He's also coming off of an injury as well. I understand it's been a few weeks, but I would like to think that the injury in which he suffered, that also takes time to really recover from that. And if you watch the games, teams are still respecting him because they double him constantly when he's out there on the floor. But I'm not making excuses for the fact that he hasn't played his best basketball this season. But if Paolo's able to play, in my opinion, the same way in which he has played these last two games, the Orlando Magic, if I can sell anybody hope out there who loves this team and loves hearing when the song is played, you're going to have to give this guy just a little bit of time. The Orlando Magic as a team are still trying to figure themselves out as well. So not the season in which you had hoped for, but hopefully a lot of growth. And maybe if Franz Wagner comes back, we are able to see a much more complete team. It's just my hope. Would love to hear yours. That is going to do it for us here on Open Gym. Much thanks to Sean Powell of NBA.com, as well as E.T., who you hear daily on The Drill. I'm RJ Saunders. This has been Open Gym. God bless, and have all your shots hit nothing but the bottom of the net. We will talk to you next week.
From free agency to the draft, training camp to the playoffs, nobody covers the Jags like Jaguars today. Mike Dempsey and Fat Tony bring the smartest football talk in Duval. Covered by Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors. 10 to noon weekdays on 1010XL.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller. I'm starting to realize being a homeowner isn't all upside, Jason.
I mean, it does give you a place to live.
Yeah, but now suddenly I need to know the names of all the people I need to look after my house.
Like who?
Like if my air conditioner breaks in the middle of the heat wave, I need to know who I call to fix it.
That's me. You know me.
But what if my water heater dies or my toilet backs up?
That would also be me. Bueller Air and Plumbing.
Okay, fine, but what about my duct cleaning and my water filtration and my sewer drain? Where am I going to find all those guys if something goes wrong? I'm just a guy with a house and a dream and...
This pair of sunglasses.
Whoa.
Bueller Air and Plumbing is the only name you need to know. Our club members even get 2 free visits a year, so you know we're there when you need us.
Well, that's cool. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Hey, it's Angela and Brian Wall. How many companies do you know in this day and age that actually want their potential customers to call their competition and get quotes from them?
That's what WonderWorld wants you to do. WonderWorld knows there are other window companies out there, but we also know those other guys. When compared to WonderWorld, they can't offer you the quality at the price that WonderWorld can.
And with Window World, you get the absolute best guarantee there is in the window replacement business.
If anything goes wrong with your new Window World windows, 5 years from now, 10, 15, 50, Window World and I will be there to fix it for you. You get peace of mind with Window World, and to top it off, Window World windows increase the value of your home. So look what you get with Window World. Quality windows, low price, the best guarantee in the business, energy savings, and an increase in the value of your home. A win-win for you.
Call Window World today and get your free in-home estimate, or see them online at windowworldneflorida.com.
Window World. Simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
Nate Bargatze.
It's a lot to have 2 dogs because you got to open the back door and let 2 dogs out.
Big Dumb Eyes World Tour. 5-star Veterans Memorial Arena. February 26th. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com.
Get the goods on Gainesville 24/7. Search 1010XL Gators on YouTube.
Discover downtown Jacksonville's newest go-to spot. Pour Tap Room Jacksonville brings you 2 floors of over 80 self-pour craft beers, wines and cocktails, plus live sports, live music, and private event space. And right next door, Pizza Dynamo fires up made-to-order pizzas, slices and calzones packed with bold flavor. Pair a pint with a fresh pie at Pizza Dynamo and Pour Tap Room, downtown at Laura and Forsyth.
Create a backyard your family will love. Jack's Outdoor Solutions, an authorized dealer of Celebrity Greens, installs PGA quality artificial turf golf greens and complete outdoor spaces. From turf to custom hardscapes, landscaping, and lighting, every project is built for style, durability, and family fun. Locally owned and trusted across Northeast Florida, customers rave about their results. Check their 5-star reviews on Google. Plan your dream backyard today at jacksoutdoorsolutions.com.
Hey Jacksonville, it's Fred Taylor. If you've been in an auto accident, you need a team who knows how to get you back on your feet and back to your life. At North Florida Medical Center, they don't just treat the injury, they treat the whole person, from physical therapy to pain management. North Florida Medical Center has a team of experts ready to help you heal and recover. I trust the team here at North Florida Medical Center, and you can too. So don't wait. Call North Florida Medical Center and get the care you deserve.
Hey Jacksonville, David Garrard here. If you want a street legal golf cart that's built with quality and style, check out Dynamic Drives and Designs in Jacks Beach. They have new, used, and fully customized carts from the top brands like Atlas, Dodge, and Pilot Car. Every cart gets a complete expert inspection, so you know it's ready to hit the road. Their team can help you design the perfect custom cart that fits your style and needs. For your custom golf cart, visit dynamicdrivesdesign.com today and see your perfect ride.
Bro, have you heard about the hottest and newest sports league in town?
Vanguard Sports League isn't just VIP, it's the standard. Smoke-filled tunnel intros, cool benches with canopies, big scoreboards, championship rings, and convenient locations all across Jacksonville. Oh, and mascot potties there hyping everyone up every game. No wonder it's the talk of the town. Spring and summer registration now open.
Search VanguardSportsLeague.com today.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch.